Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good evening and welcome to Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now the headlines. Russia President Vladimir Putin orders ceasefire for Orthodox Christian Christmas. Africa Center for Disease Control announces Uganda Ebola outbreak nearly under control. U.S. court sentences former Bolivian Interior Minister Arturo Murillo to 70 months in prison. My name is Okwayamiuni. Russia President Vladimir Putin has instructed Russia's defense minister to introduce a ceasefire in Ukraine from noon local time on Friday to midnight on Saturday, in line with the Orthodox Christian Christmas. There was no immediate response from Ukraine, which earlier on Thursday rejected a call from the head of the Russian Orthodox Church for a truce as a cynical trap. Belarus says it is continuing to build up a joint military grouping with Russia and is preparing for a joint air force exercises with its neighbor and main ally. In a statement, the Belarusian Defense Ministry disclosed this, adding that the goal of creating the joint force was strengthening the protection of defense of the Union State of Russia and Belarus. The ministry said personnel, weapons, military and special equipment of the armed forces of the Russian Federation will continue to arrive in the Republic of Belarus. The ministry did not disclose the date of the upcoming Air Force exercises and did not provide any further details. Russia President Vladimir Putin has told his Turkish counterpart that he is open to talks with Ukraine if Kiev accepts the new territorial realities on the ground. According to the Kremlin, Putin confirmed to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan during a telephone conversation between the pair. He, however, said this was contingent on Ukraine fulfilling the well-known and repeatedly voiced requirements of taking into account the new territorial realities. Russia in September unilaterally annexed 4 partly occupied Ukrainian regions, Luhansk and Donetsk in the east, as well as Kherson and Zaporizhia in the south. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has warned it would be dangerous to underestimate Russia over the nearly year-long war in Ukraine. Stoltenberg disclosed this in a business conference in Norway, stating that Russia has shown a great willingness to tolerate losses and suffering. He said it is dangerous to underestimate Russia, adding that there are no indications that President Putin has changed his plans and goals in Ukraine. Russia's war in Ukraine, the largest in Europe since World War II, has killed tens of thousands of people, driven millions from their homes, and reduced vast swaths of the country to rubble. Germany says it would always adjust its arms deliveries to Ukraine according to the needs on the battlefield. The German's Vice Chancellor Robert Habeck stated this at a Norwegian business conference, adding that Germany will not stop to deliver weapons to Ukraine. Speaking on the German economy, Habeck, who doubles as the German economy minister, said the country has a well-laid-out plan to tackle the economic effect of the war. Ukraine has asked its Western allies to supply it with armored vehicles, battle tanks, air defense systems, and longer-range missiles as it continues to battle Russia's offensive.
We made a lot of right decisions, including that we made use of the blast capacities of nuclear power plants we have in Germany, and also using coal power plants because of the need of the day. But the general plan is quite clear: scaling up renewable energy as much and as fast as we can, bringing up the energy production up to 80% of renewables in 2030. This is the plan, and the remaining gaps we fill with hydrogen.
In the UK, Prince Harry has claimed that his brother, Prince William, physically attacked him during an argument between the pair over Prince Harry's wife, Meghan. This is according to The Guardian, which says it has seen a copy of the Duke's upcoming memoir, Spare. The newspaper reported that Prince Harry writes that his brother urged him to eat bag and he refused to do so. But Prince William later looked regretful and apologized. The memoir will be published next Tuesday, but The Guardian said it obtained a copy amidst what it called stringent pre-launch security. According to The Guardian, the book says the row was sparked by comments Prince William made to Prince Harry at his London home in 2019. The paper says Prince Harry writes that his brother was critical of his marriage to Meghan Markle and that Prince William described her as difficult, rude, and abrasive. Tens of thousands of people gathered for the funeral of former Pope Benedict XVI, which is being held in the Vatican. Mourners applauded as his coffin was moved into St. Peter's Square. Pope Francis began the funeral mass with the reading of the Penitential Act. The act is a general confession of sinfulness that normally takes place at the beginning of celebration of Mass. Benedict died on Saturday, aged 95, after many years of illness. He became the first pope to resign in 600 years in 2013 when he stepped down citing old age. He has been lying in state for 3 days in St. Peter's Basilica, and his funeral will be similar to that of a reigning pope. The European Union has strongly encouraged its member states to introduce pre-departure COVID-19 tests for all passengers flying in from China. The recommendation comes as Beijing plans to ease travel restrictions for its residents on January 8, despite waves of new infections that has overwhelmed Chinese hospitals and funeral houses. Among EU countries, France, Italy, and Spain already require travelers from China to present negative test results before boarding, but the European Council stopped short of asking the 27 member states to impose such curbs. Instead, the EU presidency asked European countries to introduce a negative COVID-19 test for all passengers from China taking not more than 48 hours prior to departure from China. The bloc said it took its approach considering the need for sufficient, reliable data and also recommended face masks for all passengers traveling to and from China. In Africa, the continent's top public health body has said the Ebola outbreak in Uganda was coming under control, as it had been 39 days since the last confirmed case of the virus was reported in the country. The Africa Center for Disease Control's acting director, Ahmed Ogwel-Uma, stated this in a news conference today, adding that if no new cases were reported in Uganda by January 10, the outbreak will be declared over. Oma praised Uganda's excellent coordination of Ebola containment measures, stating that it had taken about 70 days to bring the outbreak under control, with 142 confirmed cases and 55 deaths. Officials first confirmed the outbreak in September and said it was the Sudan strain of the disease, for which there is no proven vaccine. In December 2022, Uganda discharged its last known Ebola patient from hospital, and President Yoweri Museveni lifted all Ebola-related movement restrictions. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has announced that it will not go through with a threat to sanction Mali for jailing 46 Ivorian soldiers. The head of ECOWAS and the president of Guinea-Bissau, Umaru Sissoko Embalo, told newsmen, noting that there will be no immediate sanctions against Mali. He stated that the Commission will give time for Togo's mediation in a diplomatic spat to bear fruit. in order to resolve the situation. Malian authorities had detained the Ivorian troops after they arrived at Bamako airport on July 10 to provide backup security for UN peacekeeping mission, accusing them of being mercenaries. The move sparked diplomatic tensions between Bamako and Abidjan, which has decided not to replace its military contingent with the UN peacekeeping mission in Mali when the current group rotates out in August. Regional bloc ECOWAS gave Mali a deadline of January 1 to free the troops or face sanctions, but nevertheless, a Malian court last month sentenced the troops to 20 years in prison. Kenyan President William Ruto says the country will not default in its debt in the face of severe economic challenges. Mr. Ruto told journalists that Kenya had applied the brakes on any more borrowing. He made the remarks at State House, Nairobi, during his first major televised media conference with local journalists. The Kenyan president also disclosed that he fired the former head of criminal investigation over cases of forced disappearances and extrajudicial killings. Mr. Ruto said he was keen on ensuring there were no extrajudicial killings by the police, adding that he had tasked the Police Oversight Authority to investigate the cases.
We had a thorough meeting with IPOA, and we have agreed with them that it is not necessary for me to establish another task force when IPOA is there, and it is squarely within their mandate to tell us how did Kenyans end up being killed in this manner. And then it was business as usual. 30 bodies in Yala, 17 bodies in Garissa. I don't know how many bodies were. People. There was a container here at the Nairobi area where people were being slaughtered in a police station. How did we end up there? What kind of rogue, institution? And that is why I fired that Kinoti man. Because it's not right.
You're watching Spring Global on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Arrested, affected, sound, found. What do we see? What do we say? Flowing from a spring. A fact A to Z. Check and confirm. Eva is pounding current events. Traveling down from the business gist to the globally arising happenings, to the sports news, to the bittersweet infos. Guided transmission, even diffusion, vast and fast, detailed facts are fled. Within seconds, nuggets of words that flew across borders are fired. Stories short and long, wrapped in bundles of words, broken and dissected as it is, except misheard. This is the news as it is.
You're welcome back on Spring Global on Western Spring Television. Now to the rest of the stories. A federal high court in the United States has sentenced former Bolivian Interior Minister Arturo Murillo to nearly 6 years behind bars for conspiracy to commit money laundering. The U.S. Department of Justice made this known in a statement, revealing that Murillo was sentenced to 70 months in prison by the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. The department further revealed that another former Bolivian official and 3 Americans were sentenced last June after they pleaded guilty to roles in the same scheme. Murillo pleaded guilty in October to receiving at least $532,000 in bribes from a Florida-based company in exchange for helping it secure a lucrative tear gas contract with Bolivia's defense ministry. Israeli forces have shot dead a Palestinian child during a raid on the northern occupied West Bank city of Nablus. The Palestinian Ministry of Health revealed this, stating that the 16-year-old Amar Abu Zatoun was shot in the head this morning. His death comes after another Palestinian child, 15-year-old Adam Ayad, was killed by Israeli forces on Tuesday. Abu Zatoun is the fourth Palestinian to be killed by Israeli forces in the West Bank this year, after more than 170 were killed last year in the territory, as well as occupied East Jerusalem. However, the Israeli police said armed Palestinians had fired at a joint party of soldiers, border police and other officers conducting a raid in Balata. The Israeli forces then shot an armed person who fired at the forces from close range. Meanwhile, Israeli Justice Minister Yariv Levin has unveiled plans to overhaul the country's judicial system and weaken the country's Supreme Court. Levin, a confidant of Netanyahu and longtime critic of the Supreme Court, presented his plan a day before the justices are to debate a new law that allows politicians convicted of tax offenses to serve as cabinet minister. His proposals call for a series of sweeping changes aimed at curbing the powers of Israel's High Court, including by allowing legislators to pass laws the court has struck down and effectively deemed unconstitutional. The proposals also includes a law that would empower the country's 120-seat parliament, or Knesset, to override Supreme Court decisions with a simple majority of 61 votes. Critics have accused the government of declaring war against the judiciary, saying the plan announced will upend Israel's system of checks and balances and undermine democratic institutions. In Asia, India's Supreme Court has put on hold the demolition of more than 4,000 homes that were allegedly encroaching on land belonging to the railways in Haldwani town in the northern state of Uttarakhand. The top court in its order said there cannot be uprooting of 50,000 people overnight, adding that there has to be segregation of people who have no right on the land and the need to rehabilitate while recognizing the need of the railways. Government officials have alleged that the residents have encroached on land that belongs to Indian Railways. In December, the Uttarakhand High Court asked the railway authorities to clear the land after giving a week's notice to occupants, but residents have been protesting, saying they have nowhere to go. Afghanistan's ruling Taliban has killed 8 ISIS fighters and arrested several others in a series of raids targeting key figures after a spate of attacks in Kabul. Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid disclosed this, stating that the raids in the capital city of western Nimroz province targeted ISIL members who organized recent attacks on Kabul's Longan Hotel, Pakistan's embassy, and the military airport. Mujahid said 8 ISIL fighters, including foreign nationals, were killed and 7 others arrested in Kabul, while a separate operation in western Nimroz province resulted in 2 more ISIL arrests. He further added that the members had played a main role in the attack on the Logan Hotel and paved the way for foreign ISIL members to come to Afghanistan. A North Korean drone entered the northern end of a 2.2 miles radius no-fly zone around South Korea's presidential office in Seoul when it intruded into the country's airspace last month. A military official revealed this to South Korea's Yonhap News, adding that the drone briefly flew into the northern edge of the zone, but it did not come close to key security facilities. The drone was among 5 North Korean unmanned aerial vehicles that crossed the border and entered South Korean airspace on December 26, prompting South Korea's military to scramble fighter jets and attack helicopters. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff had denied that one of the drones intruded into the presidential office no-fly zone. However, today confirmed that a drone had violated the northern end of a secure area, but did not fly directly over the Yongsan area, where the office of President Yoon Suk Yeol is located. In business, technology giant Amazon aims to cut more than 18,000 job roles as it reduces costs. In a message to staff, Amazon's chief executive, Andy Jassy, said the announcement was brought forward because one of the firm's teammates leaked the information externally. The job cuts amount to around 6% of the company's roughly 300,000 strong corporate workforce. Amazon is the latest big technology firm to unveil major layoffs as the cost of living crisis sees customers cut back on spending. In sport, Chelsea has completed the signing of French defender Benoit Badiashile from Ligue 1 side AS Monaco. The 21-year-old defender signed a 7.5-year contract with the West London side. Badiashile, speaking after signing the contract, said he was very happy to be here at the club and he can't wait to see the fans and start playing in the best league in the world. Novak Djokovic had fourth win against Quentin Halys to move into the quarterfinals of the Adelaide International this afternoon. The Serb rallied back from 5-2 down in the first set and 5-3 in the second to beat the Frenchman 7-6, 7-3, 7-6, 7-5. Djokovic will face Canada's Denis Shapovalov on Friday as he continues his build-up to the Australian Open. Djokovic, who beat Kyrgios in the 2022 Wimbledon final, will be bidding for his 10th Australian Open title in an attempt to equal Rafael Nadal's overall men's Grand Slam record of 22. Meanwhile, Australia's Nick Kyrgios has withdrawn from the second week of the Adelaide tournament with an ankle injury.
A fantastic match finally comes to an end. It was a real battle for Novak Djokovic. Quentin Halys can hold his head very high, but it is Novak Djokovic who moves on in Adelaide. He's still not lost a match in Australia since 2018. It was a test, but as so often is the case with one of the greatest of all time.
Before we end Spring Global, here's a recap of our top stories. Belarus says it is continuing to build up a joint military grouping with Russia and is preparing for joint Air Force exercises with its neighbor and main ally. Africa's top public health body has said the Ebola outbreak in Uganda was coming under control as it had been 39 days since the last confirmed case of the virus was reported in the country. A federal court in the United States has sentenced former Bolivian Interior Minister Arturo Murillo to nearly 6 years behind bars for conspiracy to commit money laundering. You can follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. I am Okpayamioni. Thanks for watching.